Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Right, you see, the vouchers that came down on the carcasses upon the altar that Abraham had erected, which was supposed to be a confirmation of the promise that God had given to him. Now you see vouchers coming to land, attempting to pick some pieces of meat from the altar. And Abraham, being as old as he was, he rose up and he said, I will not allow that to happen. What is that? What is the significance of that? Why is that so important? Each time you raise an altar in the name of the Lord, before God receives it, the altar has to go through some trials and temptations. The enemy is going to try everything that he can to pick something from your altar before God receives it. And it is your responsibility as a giver to chase away every voucher that comes to receive from you before God can receive. There are several vouchers that I've seen in life. Before you pay your tithe, your lawyer needs to be paid because there is a case. That's a voucher. Before you pay your tithe, before you give an offering to God, your child gets sick. So there's always something that is landing on the altar to pick some pieces of meat before God gets his portion. And what do? You need to chase away the voucher. Because there are spirits out there. I've seen it. I've been giving now for years. And I know what is triggered. In the dark kingdom, each time an altar is erected, vouchers are notified. They come immediately. That's why many of the people, you talk to people that have given a lot to God, so many things, disasters have come their way, and they wonder what is happening. Each time you set aside an offering for God, there is a voucher that comes to grab it before God can receive it. That reminds me of a man who had a dream in the prison. And he saw himself carrying a basket. And in the basket, there was bread. And as he was carrying the bread, birds came and landed upon the basket and picked the pieces of bread. And the interpretation from Joseph was, you will not make it because you are the king's baker. You prepare bread for the king. So if you see yourself carrying the basket full of bread and then birds are coming to pick the bread, it means something has taken what belonged to the king. The birds that you should have chased away. Something gained access to your profession. A bird picks a bread from the basket, so you are no longer left with anything. And that's the only thing that makes you presentable before the king. Your profession is you bake bread for the king. And once the bread is taken by the birds, it means your career and your place before the king has been taken away by the birds. Don't allow the voucher to take what belongs to God. Abraham stood up and defended the altar. This is what happens every time you give, whether it's a car. After giving your vehicle to God, and then now you are walking on foot, you will have vouchers that are coming to you, friends, relatives, asking you, you were better before, but look at you now. All those are vouchers that you should chase away. Because each time you give, you attract vouchers that will come and they will contaminate the seed. They will contaminate the offering. My God. My God. So what you need to do is to protect, defend your seed. Defend your seed. Defend your seed. Protect your seed. God might not do that for you. Protect your seed from the people that talk negatively against giving. Protect your seed. Or those are vouchers. Statements like that are coming from vouchers. Protect your seed until God receives it. So that's one thing that happened. Look at the next thing that happened as well. Very, very important. Let's look at verse number 12. Now when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham. And behold, horror, and great darkness fell upon him. Scriptures are very interesting to me. I like scriptures because to me, I derive life from the word of God. You see, we have just seen the vouchers, and now we are seeing horror, and there is great darkness. Why all these things are coming after Abraham? As soon as you give to God, expect a voucher. As soon as you give to God, expect horror. As soon as you give to God, expect great darkness. Why would the Bible write about it? Was in the night. Why would they write about great darkness that fell upon him? There is a moment of great darkness after you have given something that is significant to God. You enter into a moment of confusion, into a moment where you no longer see light, and you question yourself, and your kids are asking you, so what next, Mama? What else are we going to do? What are we going to eat? It's a moment of darkness where you no longer have light. You don't know whether you have done the right thing. That darkness falls upon you each time you give to God the right thing. Darkness. It's a state of mind that comes upon you. You will feel it as soon as you finish giving the right thing. It will come upon you. It will come upon you. It will come upon you. So why would all these things happen after giving to God? That's your question. Why did such a thing happen after giving to God? I'm a committed member of the church. And why are all these things? That's horror happening after you have sacrificed. So protect your seed until God receives it. Because very soon, the morning is coming. Look at the next verse. Then he said to Abraham, no, certainly. Now God is placing emphasis now on his promise. No, certainly that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them 400 years. And also the nation whom they serve, I will judge. You see, when you are afflicted, after obeying the voice of God, God will go after every person responsible of that affliction. That's what God is promising you right now. Afterward, they shall come out with a great possessions. This is a promise given to Abraham. They will be afflicted. But when they come out of that place of affliction, they will not come out empty-handed. There are some of you people here watching me by television. You have worked for a very long time for that company, for that organization. And there's a promise coming from God right now to you that when you leave that affliction, when you leave Egypt, you will come out of that organization with great possessions. God will bless you before you leave. It's a blessing that comes upon somebody right now. Just obey the voice of God. Obey the voice of God and sow a seed right now. Watch what God is about to do. So they will come out with great possessions. They will come out with great possessions. My God. Verse number 15. And now, as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. It's a blessing again. You go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at a good old age. I don't know why God prefers calling it go instead of dying. You will go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at a good old age that is good. I thought everything old is bad. You will be buried at a good old age, not bothering people. It's a blessing that comes upon somebody right now. Verse number 16. But in the fourth generation, they shall return here. Where? Here. They shall return where? Here. They will return here. For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. Verse number 17. Okay. And it came to pass when the sun went down and it was dark, that behold, there appeared a smoking oven and a burning torch that passed between those pieces. Verse 18. On the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham. God made a covenant with Abraham. This is the covenant that we are talking about. And God made a covenant with Abraham. How? By saying, to your descendants, I have given this land from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates. Now God is making a promise, a covenant with Abraham. Now, each time God blesses you, take note of this. Each time God blesses a person, he blesses him based on a covenant. Outside of the covenant of blessing, God does not bless a person. You see, if you like doing word study, you just type the word swore. You'll find more than 30 places just from the book of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. More than 30 places where it is written, I will bless you according to the covenant, and I will bless you because this is what I swore to your father Abraham. So God, when he blesses you, even when he brought the people of Israel out of Egypt, it was according to the vow. It was according to the swearing. It was according to the promise that God had given to Abraham. He delivered Israel based on the promise. God delivers you out of your situation based on his promise. He works based on the promise. The promise is what fuels God to bless his people. Without a promise, he doesn't bless anybody. So now, I would want you to look at Deuteronomy chapter number 8 and verse number 18. Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse number 18. To prove to you that God blesses based on a covenant. And you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the power to get wealth. And what's the reason why he gives you the power? That he may establish his covenant, which he swore to your fathers, as it is this day. So God gives you the power to make money. God gives you the power to handle cash. And he does that in an attempt to establish a covenant. So without a covenant, God does not bless you. God blesses you and he gives you energy, abilities, and he gives you very sharp ideas so that he can establish a covenant. It's covenants that motivates God. So the blessing that was promised to Abraham should also come upon all of us because we are his sons, though being Gentiles, because he is the father of many nations, including ourselves. So God blesses based on the promise that he gave to somebody. Okay, if you don't like Abraham to be your father, okay, then look at your own biological father. What promise was given to him by God? Would you want to have such a father? What promise? Talk to your father right now. Go to him, call him and ask him, what did God say to you about our inheritance? He's going to ask you, what are you talking about? He doesn't have a clue. Why not rather have a father that God spoke to and was promised? And God says, if you would want to be his son, I will bless you based on the promise that I gave to Abraham, your forefather. So God blesses based on covenants and promises. It's not just in the Old Testament. Galatians chapter number 3 and verse number 13. Christ Jesus, remember, has redeemed us from the curse of the law, having become a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone that hangs on a tree. So he's talking about the cross. Verse number 14. That the blessing of Abraham might come upon the Gentiles in Christ Jesus. He went on the cross so that the blessing of Abraham. You thought that sin was the only thing that Jesus died for. No, my brother, you are wrong. He died for the blessing of Abraham. So, talk to me now. If it was Isaac getting blessed because of Abraham, and you say, those are the old-fashioned guys. If it was Jacob blessed because of Abraham, you would say, maybe it's in the Old Testament. But now you see Jesus now, God himself, coming to die for something that was promised to a man, Abraham. That's what Jesus is coming to die for, the blessing of Abraham. A blessing that is identified with a certain individual. And Jesus comes to die for that. Come on. So this thing cannot be left in the book of Genesis. It has to come live to you right now because that's what he died for. He died so that the blessing of Abraham might come upon the Gentiles in Christ Jesus. The blessing of Abraham. The blessing of Abraham. What was the blessing of Abraham? Did he ever speak in tongues? No. Do you really see him casting out demons and so on, doing deliverance? No. What was the blessing of Abraham? He had cash. He had money. He had great possessions. He had silver and gold. And above it all, he had God. So I'm coming back. Stay tuned.